The fan base has been questioning several position groups that are of significant importance so far this offseason. Let's dive into some of them here on the 4th of July. Welcome back to Mike Drop Sports, everybody. Let's talk a little bit about some position groups that I feel like the fan base has been ultra concerned about, and by all rights, they should be. There's several question marks maybe that they want answered, and there's several question marks the Steelers really need to figure out here ahead of the 2024 season. Or maybe do the Steelers already have it figured out? Are they confident in what they have? And that is that defensive front, excluding the edge rushers. That's for a different conversation. I'm talking about the nose tackles, the defensive ends, the defensive tackle groups. Those are the three position groupings that I'm talking about. That defensive front in your 3-4 defense. But I also want to talk about that offensive line grouping and what's going on with those tackles, and possibly where they turn and how they figure out how to fill those tackle spots here in training camp ahead of the season, and how they plan on maybe possibly starting the season. And also I want to talk about that wide receiver room and the possibility of 6 of those wide receivers going into the season, and the Steelers carrying those 6. And maybe it's not so bad, or maybe it is in your opinion. But let's start out with that defensive front. And you look at the presumptive starters there right now. You look at Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton. Those guys seem to be the entrenched starters right now along that defensive front. But you look at Cam Hayward's spot to where who would be backing him up. That would be a Dean Lowry, a guy brought in as a veteran presence, a guy that could play some significant snaps that I have some high hopes for, a guy that I think can contribute and be a major player inside of the season. Also, you look at Logan Lee, a guy that they had drafted this offseason in the 2024 NFL draft, bringing him in with a later round selection. I have confidence in him also. Now, he is a rookie, so you're going to expect some growing pains and some time for him in order for him to become comfortable and possibly effective for your Steelers in 2024. But that's okay, because I feel like there's a couple guys in front of him with Cam and Dean Lowry that can hold the fort down until guys like Logan Lee start to develop, to maybe take a few of those reps during a game, to give those guys a little bit of a break, keep them fresh, considering Cam Hayward coming off of an injury-plagued season to where he was not really effective in any way. And that's okay, because he was injured. Cam has been a great Steeler, but yet has not been able to reach the mountaintop as a Super Bowl winner, to cement his legacy as a Pittsburgh Steeler. He hasn't got there yet. So, yes, Cam Hayward, injury concerns, but I do think that he will come back here in 2024 healthier than we've seen him in some time. And I also think a guy like Dean Lowry can be a major contributor. So, yes, I think there's some question marks there, but most of those are health concerns, and maybe a little bit of depth concern. But I like Logan Lee, I like Dean Lowry, and I think that they are going to be able to be quality backups to Cam Hayward. But then you slide over and you look at Larry Ogunjobi at the defensive end position, Larry O, Isaiah Loudermilk, DeMarvin Leal. Maybe there you become quite concerned, considering Larry Ogunjobi has had significant injury history with his back and things of that nature throughout his career in the NFL, but has been relatively effective and a decent player when he's out there on the field. He's made some splash plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, causing a fumble last year that I remember in a big giant moment in the Baltimore Ravens game. You've seen him do some things that get you excited, but his health remains a major concern. And you look, though, at Isaiah Loudermilk and you say to yourself, he's a guy that's been around this Pittsburgh Steelers team for a while, and you say, he's just not yet shined. He's not been a guy that's stood out in any real way, in my opinion anyway. But maybe this is the year. Maybe after a few seasons with the Steelers, a guy like Loudermilk can possibly start to take that next step and become a little bit better inside of this 3-4 defensive scheme under Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin. Then you look at DeMarvin Leal, a guy that I think has been a significant bust so far in his NFL career. Maybe he doesn't fit the scheme of the 3-4 exactly how he probably should, or maybe his growth is just not taking place, or he's not had that growth take place just yet, and he's not been able to hit that next stride, that next piece of his development. So yes, that position I think probably is the most concerning if I'm looking at that three positions, or those three positions along that defensive front that could possibly give you a little bit of a worry here in 2024. So the defensive end spot's probably my most worrisome position so far. And then you look over and you're looking at Keanu Benton, a guy that's maybe a little bit undersized for nose tackle, a guy that's coming in 10 pounds lighter than he did last season. But maybe that speed, that quickness that he gains becoming a little bit lighter, maybe that proves to be, a real advantage for him next season in 2024. But the people backing him up, do you have confidence in them? A Montravius Adams? I think so. I think Mon Adams has proven that he can play at the NFL level and that he can do some things. And I'm comfortable with him being in there. It's not a major knock whenever Mon Adams is in there. In terms of stability at the position, I think he can handle his own. Do I think that he's like an every down nose tackle? No, I don't. But I definitely think that he is serviceable and can get the job done. And there was high hopes for him last year. You heard great things being said about Mon Adams last year and his ability to be a major contributor inside of this defense. Also, then you look at Braden Fiocco, a guy whom I think has some real potential, a guy that I think could be really a key player in the run game. I really like his game. I think that he maybe starts to develop here a little bit more in 2024, and that you can start to maybe lean on Braden a little bit to give him some snaps. So I'm not horribly over concerned with that nose tackle. I think there's some quality athletes there. I think they're going to be able to be serviceable to good in 2024, to where I wouldn't be, overly concerned that I got to go out and make some monster splash move in order to secure some depth or a real starter at that position, because I think Keanu Benton is going to be that starter there. I think in year two, he does take a little bit of a leap and becomes effective, no doubt about it. So again, guys, when you're talking about those three position groupings off our defensive line, you say to yourself, probably the defensive end spot is your most worrisome. And again, there's guys like DeMarvin Leal that have been busts in my eyes. So and then there's Larry O, who's injured, and Loudermilk, who hasn't been able to be effective, at a nice rate. He's definitely not been the huge impact player that you would want there. But again, that's probably my most concerning piece. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, as a whole, when I look at all three of those positions there along that defensive front, I can say to myself, I think they'll be okay for 2024. Do I think it'll be the greatest strength of the Steelers defense? Probably not, but I think it'll be a very serviceable group. And I definitely think they'll be able to handle their own, barring injuries and just keeping themselves healthy. And I think that that'll be the most important. And I think you'll see some production, and I think they'll be able to hold their own in 2024. So I wouldn't be overly freaked out about that defensive front just yet. So let's move over to we'll talk next. Let's talk next about the offensive line group and maybe where they go for those tackles, or who they turn to fill those tackle spots. You have Dan Moore Jr., Troy Fautanu, Broderick Jones, Dylan Cook, Tyler Beach. You have these players here that have the possibility of being involved in the conversation in the left tackle, right tackle position. So who do you turn to? And if you're the Steelers, do you allow your 20th overall selection in Troy Fautanu to slowly get involved and to learn? And does allowing him to do that really set this offensive line back in a major way, considering your plans for Broderick Jones? I have heard just as of late, some say, oh, Broderick's maybe a little bit overrated. Maybe the Steelers reached a little bit when they traded up 3 spots to pick Broderick Jones and take him from the New York Jets, whom were about to select him. a guy that really only had 1 year of college experience at the starter level. Does that scare you? But I thought Broderick was able to get his feet underneath him in the NFL and start to really be effective. And I really like the way Broderick has been able to play. And I think he is the answer at left tackle. I really, really, truly do. But if you're the Steelers and you like to bring your rookies along a little bit slower and make them prove something to you before you ever let them even get a snap inside of an NFL game, um, you know, do you sit Troy Fautanu and do you keep Roger Jones at that right tackle spot? This is a major issue, in my opinion. I think this is one of the most important decisions that the Pittsburgh Steelers have to make. And I think that you really have to solidify this spot early and often, especially in training camp, and allow these reps to be had as a group with the guys that you know are going to be part of your major core group and your starters. I think that you have to figure that out early and often, and I think Troy Fautanu will be able to prove himself in camp because there are a ton of reps, guys. There's passing drills, running drills, there's team drills, so to where you're getting that valuable rep or those valuable reps against guys like TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith. You're going to get those quality reps against those guys, and TJ Watt being one of the best defenders in the entire NFL, if not the best. And I think if you can learn and take reps against a guy like TJ, that's just going to make you better every single day. And I think you'll get a clear picture if you're the Steelers as to exactly what a guy like Troy Fautanu can be. Coming out of Washington, again, 20th overall selection, a guy whom I thought should have went in the top 15, in my opinion. I thought he was one of the better left tackles in this entire draft, but I think he's a guy also that can be versatile and do some things, especially in the run game. A very athletic guy that can get up to the second and third levels to really be a major piece to the running game for sure. And I definitely value that, and I think the Steelers should really value that here in 2024, considering whom they have as their offensive coordinator and what their true game plan is probably going to be. And their true focal point of this offense is going to be running the football. And wouldn't you want to have guys like Fautanu with great athleticism that are able to get to the second and third levels, to be your guys out there, to where, you may sell out a little bit on the pass pro because, they may not just be great at pass pro just yet, but they're working toward that, and there's some significant potential there. But we value so much his ability to play in the run game and his ability to be a major contributor there that we're willing to maybe take a guy and put him out there that isn't the absolute best at pass pro, but is pretty damn good still nonetheless. But yet he's so valuable in that run game that we're willing to make that sacrifice. Is that your answer? And also that comes with a guy like Dan Moore Jr., whom I thought was rather ineffective in the pass sets. I thought that he was a weak link there. And you say to yourself, Broderick Jones, I felt like he was the best tackle on this football team last year. In terms of the pass game for the Steelers. It wasn't Dan Moore Jr. So do you say to yourself, let's slide our best tackle in the pass game that we had last season and put him at left? That's the plan. That's where we've wanted him to play since we drafted him, and keep him there, allow him to be that left tackle, allow him to get into his spot that he will be at for the duration of his career here as a Pittsburgh Steeler. And then move our young guy and put him in and just allow him to start early and often. But would that be too much? Because you're going to probably start a rookie in Zach Frazier, whom I think is the best center in this draft, the most experienced, a real college veteran, along with Troy Fautanu, a real veteran at the college level, a guy that played a lot of snaps there. So those are two guys that are coming in that may be a little bit different than what Broderick Jones was, a guy that had very limited action and snaps in terms of his his veteran tag in the college ranks. He wasn't a seasoned veteran there. He only had really played 1 year of significant starter reps. But nonetheless, it was one solid year. He did really well. But these two guys that are coming in, you have Troy Fautanu, who's played, 3 years at the position of reps and game action at a high level at Washington. And then you look at Zach Frazier playing in the Big 12 at WVU with, 3 years of center experience. So you might be a little bit more comfortable with those guys coming in and just playing early and often. So but is that too much for the Steelers offensive line to handle? Putting two young guys, two guys that are rookies in this league, and wheeling them out there with a second-year guy in Broderick Jones and two veterans in your guards, and Daniels and Siamalu. So what are you comfortable with? I think I'm comfortable with going with the young guys and taking my lumps and learning as we go. I think the schedule would be one in which they could, maybe ease into things a little bit. I don't think it's going to be the most difficult schedule. I know every week is a tough game in the NFL, but I think the back half is a little harder. So I would really like them to, make this decision early and get these guys in place and allow them to grow early here and get their feet underneath them instead of maybe tossing them in, week 10, week 9, ahead or after the bye week and, throwing them to the Wolves with straight divisional play. I would rather probably just get them incorporated early and often and allow things to grow organically. That's just my opinion. But it's a good problem to have in my eyes if you're the Steelers. You have guys that you're confident in. You have a 3-year starter in Dan Moore Jr., a guy that, yes, I don't think that he's the greatest, but he has started for 3 years. So you're confident that he can play there at least, that he can be serviceable, that you could start him. He has starter experience. But yet you have young rookies and second-year guys that are nipping at his heels, ready to get those starter minutes, ready to be the team's true, starting right and left tackle. So we'll see how that all unfolds, but I truly believe that it should be Troy Fautanu on the right, Broderick Jones on the left, Isaac Seumalo and James Daniels as your guards, and rookie Zach Frazier from WVU as your starting center. And I think that's a group that you can really lean on and look to have for several years, more, and allow them to grow. I know James Daniels will be coming up here, but you got some other guys that you could possibly be comfortable with there. There's some guards on this team that, could possibly step in and fill those holes. But, as a group, as a large group, as all five there, I definitely think that should be the starting five week 1, day 1 of the Pittsburgh Steelers season. And I think that's exactly how they should roll and allow them to just gel and become a cohesive unit. I think that would be the smartest thing that the Steelers did in my eyes. I think waiting might be a little bit of a detriment to them, and I think it could cause, just some confusion that you just don't need. I think you just will out the guys you picked, be confident in your selections, be confident in who you've brought in and how you've wanted or, thought about constructing this offensive line, and run with it, man. Be confident in what you've done there. So I'm okay with that, and I think that would definitely solidify the trenches, and I would be confident in 2024 going in with that defensive group that we talked about and that offensive group, and I think that they both could shine in a pretty big way. I definitely do. I definitely think that to be the case. So let's take our last thing here on July 4th. I know this is a little bit longer of an episode, but we're not doing a live show tonight, so I wanted to talk a little bit about this wide receiver room too. And just look at, the 6 possible candidates that I think could emerge from training camp and be that group. And I think it's the 6. I think the Steelers keep 6 here, and at least for right now in my head. Now we'll see how camp unfolds and how things break down, and then I'll give you my roster predictions probably midway through camp on whom I think will make this team and how this roster will shake out. But as of right now, for this wide receiver room, You got to have the lead dog, and George Pickens, probably one of the most underrated players right now in terms of his abilities and things of that nature. Giving him credit for being, a possible number one target. I know he has to prove it, but I think the potential's there for him to do that. So you're confident in George, and you're confident in what he's going to be able to bring, the double team attention that he's going to be able to provide your offense, which is going to free up some of these other guys to do some special things, hopefully. But then you look down and maybe you get a little bit worried. You got Calvin Austin III, whom I think probably should get the first crack at being wide receiver number two. And I say that because of his work ethic, his ability to show up every day and really be that example for the rest of the room, in my opinion, in terms of work and how he's getting it done. So Calvin Austin III, great athleticism, super fast. He's proved it. He can get it done, at times when he's had his limited opportunities. A couple big touchdowns last year. That one in Las Vegas I thought was an awesome, coming out there, but we didn't see it continue to develop. After that, when Mason came in, that playoff game touchdown in Buffalo, that one that he went from the slot underneath, caught it in traffic. So that proved another skill set he could provide there out of the slot and playing in traffic with the big fellas in the middle. So you're confident that he can get it done there too. And so Calvin Austin III, again, maybe he should get that first crack at that so-called number two position. Then you look at Van Jefferson, whom I think should be involved in that third or second type wide receiver conversation if you want to classify them, which I don't think you need to. I think you just need to do it by committee and roll these guys out there. But anyway, Van Jefferson, a guy that's proven he can do it at the NFL level, 10 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards in his one season, to where he actually really got to play on a Super Bowl winning team with Matthew Stafford. And then he had a little bit of unfortunate circumstances, injury, moving teams, wasn't able to get his feet wet and become a real solidified portion of those teams that he was on. Now he finds himself in Pittsburgh healthy and ready to go. And I think that he could definitely provide a spark and be a guy that you could lean on throughout 2024. So you look at those first three guys that you talk about there, or that I talked about there, and I think you can be confident in them. And I think that they could definitely produce and put up some numbers. Then you look at Roman Wilson, Quez Watkins, Scotty Miller. Those are the other three guys that I think will be contributors. And I think that if you look at this whole group, I think you could be confident in it. And I think that they could definitely grow into what you're looking for. I think Scotty Miller has significant NFL experience playing with the GOAT, playing down in Atlanta with your offensive coordinator Arthur Smith last year. There's some familiarity. So I like Scotty Miller to be, a utility guy that can come in and do things. I think he'll be the sixth wide receiver on this roster, him or Quez Watkins. And then you look at Quez Watkins, a guy that has potential, that has had some big drops in significant moments, the Super Bowl, things of that nature. And I think that he lacks the ability to be aggressive at the point of attack whenever you're looking at a guy like Quez and what he's going to be asked to do. You want him to be rather aggressive and really be able to go up and grab that football and not pitter-patter around and be weak at that. He has to perfect that skill, and he has bulked up. He has gotten a little bit better in terms of his body style, body type, and hopefully he'll be able to correct some of those little bit of issues, the drops and the aggressiveness. I think those are his two weakest links right now, so we'll see how that all unfolds, but I think the potential is there. And you look at a guy they drafted within the third round, Roman Wilson. I think he's a guy that can get it done, guys. And I definitely think that he has to have a little bit of time, a little bit he has to get those reps. He has to. And as the season progresses, I think you'll see more and more from Roman Wilson. And I truly expect him to be a major contributor by season's end. I think you'll be looking at him as the guy the Steelers really count on. And I think you'll see him slide up that depth chart in terms of snaps as the season moves on. And I'm really confident in what he's going to be able to do. And I think his routes will get better. I think his playmaking ability is already there. You've seen it at Michigan. You've seen them be able to do it all. So I'm confident that he'll be able to get some things done at the NFL level for sure. So I'm very confident about that. But as a whole, guys, I'm definitely not, overhyped or I'm not totally devastated by what they have. I'm kind of neutral here on this wide receiver room. And I think if they approach this, excuse me, as a committee and really attack it as a group effort and don't really try to label people as ones, twos, threes, whatever, just attack it. Guys that fit best in certain situations, certain packages, get them in there, man. Allow them to blossom. Allow them to play. Don't worry about titles and depth chart bullshit. Just play as a committee. These are our guys. This is who we're wheeling out there. We're going to mix and match them. We're going to create the biggest mismatches against opposing defenses as we possibly can every week, and that's just how our game plan goes. And every week, a different guy is going to be a contributor, or probably our major contributor. That's how I would approach it. No one guy, no one player will be the week in, week out type guy that you go to all the time. Maybe George Pickens is a guy that's always in there. Yes, I hope that's the case. I hope that he truly emerges as the top dog in that wide receiver room. Just because I think he has great abilities, but I definitely think that you'll see a different hero each week coming out of that room, and I think that that's the most exciting thing that you could hope for. Just allow them to figure this out. Allow them to play their game, man, and get things done, and not play into the hype, and just allow them to grow. And I think this wide receiver room's okay. All right, guys, let's start to wrap this up a little bit. And yeah, it's the 4th of July, so everybody be safe out there. Nobody do anything crazy and enjoy your holiday. It looks kind of dingy out there right now, so hopefully it ain't a rain out. Yeah, that would suck, man. Hopefully for some sunshine, get it bright out there, and so we can enjoy this day, our nation's Independence Day. So until tomorrow, we'll have our live show tomorrow night, which is Friday. We'll have our daily upload. Hopefully we'll do that, but maybe we'll just do our live show. We'll see. Just keep your eyes out. Turn your notification bells on. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you've made it this far, 20-some minutes in, over 25 minutes in, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we continue to march toward our 5,000 subscriber goal before the Pittsburgh Steelers break for camp or for training camp this year. So let's definitely get that up and make sure you hit that like button. So until tomorrow, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports. Peace.